My childhood sweetheart girlfriend never imagined, even in her dreams, that just because she was busy taking care of a younger male classmate and didn't answer my call, by the time she came back to look for me, she would learn that I had already gone to Germany to build my career. At first, she didn't take it seriously. She thought I had only left in a fit of pique because she was getting too close to that underclassman. Convinced that I could never let go of the 20 years of feelings we had shared. But when she chased all the way to Germany to coax me into coming back, and saw me growing closer and closer to the company's female secretary, her world finally collapsed. Chapter 1. Orange City. A torrential downpour. In front of me sat my birthday cake. In the empty living room, only a single small lamp was lit. The candlelight flickered, illuminating the offer letter placed beside it, embossed with large golden letters. Back then, the artificial intelligence model I developed had doubled the group's profits. Just as I was about to go to Germany to truly spread my wings, my girlfriend, Willow, begged me again and again not to be apart from her. So I stayed in Orange City. Now the German branch was in crisis. They were doing everything they could to invite me over, even offering company shares and a promotion to vice president of the group. I agreed, because today was my birthday, and Willow didn't even come home. Instead, she appeared in the social media post of her younger male classmate, Makoto. In the photo, she was tutoring Makoto. Their faces were almost touching, and the gentle, tender smile on her profile was impossible to hide. That photo pierced my eyes like a sharp thorn. George, when you turn 25, we'll get engaged. Okay. That year, we made our promise, and today was my 25th birthday. We met when we were 5, becoming what everyone called childhood sweethearts. At 20, she confessed to me, crying as she said she wanted to spend her life with me. At 22, she wanted to pursue a PhD. So I gave up further studies and started working early just to earn more tuition money for her. Yet everything I did still seemed to fall short, never enough. Now Willow used conferences and research papers as excuses, and the distance between us kept growing. Even the last message on my phone was a lie she sent that afternoon. Working on my paper tonight. I'll be back late. I gave a bitter smile. It wasn't that Willow didn't have time. She was just spending all of it being lovey-dovey with her underclassmen. Forget it. Though my heart was cold, I still wanted to finish this birthday. I had once imagined countless beautiful futures with Willow, but at this moment, they all burst like bubbles and vanished. I looked at the candle that was about to burn out and slowly closed my eyes. 25 years old. Leave Willow. Leave her forever. After saying that, I blew out the candle in one breath. Then I resolutely signed my name on the offer letter. Once the contract was signed, I would have to leave for Germany in a week. By the time Willow came back, it was already 2 a.m. The night was heavy and dark. When she opened the door, she saw me sitting on the sofa, silently smoking. The table had been cleaned spotless. The candles on the cake had long since gone out. Willow frowned. As she changed her shoes, she spoke casually, almost impatiently. Why are you smoking again? Put it out and open the window. The place reeks. How am I supposed to live like this? It's your birthday today. I was too busy. I'll make it up to you later when I have time. In the shadows, my face was utterly calm, though inside my emotions were in turmoil. I slowly exhaled a smoke ring, my voice low. What exactly were you busy with? Chapter 2. Smoke curled through the air, the sharp lines of my profile outlined under the dim light. Something stirred in Willow's heart, yet she suddenly felt that the men in front of her seemed unfamiliar. A trace of guilt flashed through her eyes. She avoided my gaze and said, I was urgently dealing with an SCI paper. My advisor kept me for a long time. Didn't you see my message? Listening to Willow deliver that lie without even blushing, I suddenly let out a soft chuckle and crushed the cigarette but hard against the ashtray. Even though I already knew this would be her answer, a nameless ache still surged in my chest. Seeing me stub out the cigarette, Willow sat down on the sofa and smoothly changed the subject. I got you a present. Open it and take a look. If you don't like it, we can still exchange it. She pulled a brand new gift box out of her bag, then casually picked up a lighter and went to relight the candles. At that moment, the phone left on the coffee table suddenly vibrated. I glanced over lightly and saw the contact name on the screen, Makoto. Several messages, sent by her younger male classmate. Senior, are you home yet? Thanks so much for today. I'll treat you to a romantic Western dinner next time. Along with those overly intimate lines was even an I love you sticker. It felt as if my heart had been stabbed hard. I opened the gift box. Inside was an exquisite wristwatch. Its surface was covered with sapphire blue crystal fragments, but I had said more than once that I didn't like blue, and it was exactly the same model as the one Makoto had shown in his social media post. So it turned out she had just picked up an extra one while buying his. Thanks, I replied casually, then tossed the watch into the drawer of the coffee table. If this had happened before, I would definitely have exploded and demanded a clear explanation. But now, none of it mattered anymore. My sincerity had been betrayed again and again. I no longer wanted to force anything. Willow didn't notice it, the resolute look in my eyes, the face that had lost all expression, suddenly showing a hint of relief. I wanted my wish to come true. Let it end like this. Let me leave cleanly. Everything about this woman, I wanted none of it anymore. Before the cake was even finished, a phone call came in. Willow jogged over and snatched the phone away. "George, my advisor wants me to revise the paper again. You eat the cake yourself." Without hesitation, she rushed into the study and shut the door tightly. Bang! The moment Makoto appeared, she couldn't even be bothered to keep up appearances anymore. She hadn't even asked what my birthday wish was. The living room fell back into silence. I said nothing as I threw the cake into the trash, then went back to my room and slept quietly. When I woke up the next day, the house was already empty. I just wanted to leave as soon as possible. I got up and began packing to go abroad. The framed photos of us in the bedroom, all the big and small mementos, I took them all down. The painting Willow had given me when she confessed, I tossed straight into the trash and then went into the study. As soon as I entered, I saw a desk full of books and documents. I picked up a textbook on artificial intelligence. The name written on it was Makoto's. This major happened to be what I had specialized in, completely worlds apart from Willow's semiconductor field. I still remembered when she had first chosen her major. I had repeatedly suggested she pick the same field as mine so I could help her in the future. But she said artificial intelligence was too difficult and she didn't want to spend time relearning everything. Yet the textbook was filled with dense handwritten notes. It was hard to imagine how much effort and time she had poured into this. So my sincere intentions back then were really nothing more than a joke compared to this underclassman. There was no great emotional turbulence in my heart. I simply put the book back, as if nothing had ever happened. Ding! At that moment, a message from Makoto popped up on my phone. "Willow is helping me with my studies. Could you please bring the books she left at home to the school for me?" Chapter 3. Oh right, Willow told me to say this. The voice on the phone was shrill and arrogant. I found that petty, smug tone almost laughable. By now, it was obvious how far Willow and he had gone, otherwise he wouldn't have the nerve to act so brazenly. But I had already decided to leave. I no longer cared about any of it. Tell her to come back and get it herself. I'm busy. After saying that, I hung up and went back to packing my things. Less than half an hour later, sharp clicks of high heels echoed through the hallway outside. Soon after, Willow flung the front door open, her face filled with undisguised anger. "I asked you to deliver one thing and you couldn't even do that. Yet you have time to pack here. Didn't Makoto tell you I was the one who asked for it?" No matter how she scolded me, I ignored her and didn't stop packing. Only then did Willow seem to realize something was wrong. "What are you packing for? Are you going on a business trip? Things I don't need anymore aren't worth keeping." I glanced at her as I spoke. That single look was enough to make a sudden wave of unease rise in Willow's heart. She seemed like she wanted to say something else, but in the end, no words came out. She hurriedly shut the door behind her. After throwing away the last photo, I booked a flight to Europe. Looking at the "booking successful" screen, I took a deep breath, feeling strangely relieved. Just one more week, and I would be gone completely, disappearing from Willow's world. Another 2 days passed. I had mostly finished handing over my work in China and was just wrapping things up before leaving. Willow hadn't come home all night. Her explanation was that she was discussing revisions to a paper with Makoto, which would take a lot of time, and that she'd be staying on campus for the entire week. I didn't ask any questions. Knock knock knock. The door rang unexpectedly. When I opened it, I found it was Luis, my brother from another mother. Someone I hadn't been in touch with for a while. I had just told him about everything yesterday, and today he had rushed over without hesitation. "George, you've finally come to your senses. I felt it was unfair to you for a long time," Luis said excitedly. "Last time, you gave up an opportunity because of Willow. This time, no matter what, you can't let it go." I tapped on my keyboard and let out a long breath. "I won't change my mind this time." "That's good." Luis tentatively offered me a cigarette. To his surprise, I accepted it immediately. It was the same brand I'd been smoking since middle school. Every time we poured our hearts out to each other, we'd light one up. Later, I quit smoking because of Willow and never touched one again. Thinking of that, Luis seemed to sense something. His tone softened. "By the way, have you told her about this?" "There's no need." Seeing the pockets full of mementos and photos, Luis hesitated for 2 seconds before finally understanding. Even without me saying it outright, he more or less got the picture. How much his brother had endured over all these years. "We were desk mates back in elementary school. I've watched you and Willow all the way through," he said. "Honestly, someone as outstanding as you, she really doesn't deserve you. On your last day, I'll gather all our old friends and throw you a proper farewell." I said nothing, only exhaling smoke again and again. I grew up poor. My mother remarried, my father passed away, and all I'd ever wanted was a stable home. Looking around the apartment, I could still picture the day we first moved in, lying on the sofa with Willow, dreaming about the future. Luis noticed my silence and quickly changed the subject. Look at what you've packed. Europe's freezing cold. You're going over there dressed like this. Come on, I'll take you out to buy some necessities. The two of us bought quite a few things along the way, but when we were picking out a down jacket, we ran into Willow by accident. She was holding hands with Makoto. Strolling through the mall, she was carefully helping him choose a jacket, thoughtfully zipping it up for him. No matter how you looked at them, they were exactly like a couple deeply in love. Chapter 4. At that moment, Makoto also noticed me. He even deliberately reached out to stroke Willow's cheek, and she didn't dodge at all. My heart grew colder. Seeing Willow take the initiative to walk to the counter to pay, Makoto quickly stepped toward me. Since you've already seen it, there's nothing more for me to say, he said, lifting his chin with a hint of mockery. I'm officially going to pursue Willow now. From here on, we'll rely on our own abilities. Don't expect me to let go. Luis, standing beside me, couldn't hold back anymore and was about to throw a punch. I stopped him and merely let out a soft laugh. Then I wish you success. A woman I don't want anymore. What does it have to do with me if you get her? Hearing that, the smug look on Makoto's face instantly darkened. He had long heard about my academic achievements, and as someone in the same major, he was even more eager to prove that he was better than me. Hey, I know you're just putting on a tough front, he sneered. The way you used to simp for her, she told me everything. But you don't understand what she wants at all. She not only likes young research talents like me, she also loves my sense of romance. By then, Luis's face was already flushed red with anger. He couldn't stand watching his brother being provoked like this. He rushed forward, grabbed Makoto by the collar, and roared. You're not even worth a single hair on my brother's head. What he is today might be what you can only dream of tomorrow. Makoto had been hit where it hurt, yet instead of fighting back, he shouted. Go on, hit me if you dare. Makoto clearly thought Luis wouldn't actually do it, but the very next second, Luis threw a punch. Makoto staggered and fell hard to the ground. Watching this, I found it strange. This guy was far too calculating to be someone who couldn't dodge at all. Sure enough, the next second, Willow came rushing over in panic. She anxiously helped Makoto up. When she looked at me, her eyes were filled with uncontrollable anger. George, why did you hit him? I'm so disappointed in you. Makoto covered his face and put on a pitiful act as he tried to persuade her. Senior, George might just be jealous. Don't blame him. We really have been spending too much time together. Didn't I already say I'd stay with Makoto for a while? How can you be this narrow-minded? Willow checked Makoto's injuries, her tone full of reproach and concern. Seeing this scene, I couldn't even be bothered to explain. Damn it, you really know how to act for a grown man, believe it or not. Luis clenched his fists, ready to teach him another lesson, but I patted his shoulder and said calmly. No need to get tangled up in this. Let's go. Only then did Luis stop. The two of us turned and walked away. Behind us, the anger on Willow's face slowly turned into surprise. Wait, why are you buying so many things? Don't we still have bedding at home? They're dirty. Time to replace them. I didn't even turn my head. My flat voice carried an inexplicable chill that made Willow feel uneasy. She suddenly noticed how thinly dressed I was, while the Makoto beside her was wearing the imported down jacket she had just bought. She hurried after me. If you wanted a down jacket, you could have just told me. It's not like I wouldn't buy one for you. This time, I didn't respond at all. In the blink of an eye, another 3 days passed. Willow didn't come back. She didn't even send a single message, but I thought it was better that way. After all, if she did come back, she would immediately see the 2 suitcases by my door, and everything related to me in that apartment had already been cleared out completely. Page after page was torn from the calendar. I sat in the corner of the sofa, silently counting the days. Time really flew. In the blink of an eye, there was only one last day left. Chapter 5. The final night. Luis specially organized a farewell party just to see me off. The moment I pushed open the private room door, a swarm of familiar brothers rushed over. Bang. Wishing our brother a meteoric rise, prosperity all the way. Party poppers went off one after another, and the room instantly filled with a lively, celebratory atmosphere. I froze for a moment, then suddenly smiled in relief. With friends like these here to send me off, what regrets could I possibly have? Just as everyone was having a great time, someone suddenly spoke up. George, you're going abroad to be a big boss now. When are you bringing your girl over too? Your woman can't be away from you for even a moment. Last time you went on a business trip, she practically clung to you. Luis's expression changed immediately. Before he could stop it, I smiled and said calmly, no need. We're breaking up soon. The moment those words fell, the entire room plunged into dead silence. Everyone looked stunned, as if they couldn't believe what they had just heard. This was George. The George who once gave up his own future for his girlfriend. Just as they were about to ask more, The door of the private room suddenly opened. Willow stood at the entrance, her face glowing with happiness, her arm hooked through Makoto's. "You're all here already. I only saw Luis's message after I got off work. He said you were getting together, so I brought a junior along. You don't mind, do you?" The way the two looked at each other, tenderness overflowing, anyone who didn't know better would think they were truly a couple. Luis looked extremely awkward and whispered apologetically to me. "Sorry, George, the message was sent to the group. I might have sent it to the wrong person," I replied with complete indifference. "It's fine. Since they're here, let's just play together." I knew George would be the most magnanimous, Makoto said with a trace of a smug grin. He pulled Willow along and took the best seats in the room. The two quickly blended into the atmosphere. Willow even ordered 2 more cases of alcohol and pulled everyone into a dice game. After several rounds, everyone else was having a good time, but Makoto and I weren't very skilled. We lost more than 10 rounds in total and owed several bottles of drinks. As the crowd egged us on, Willow stepped forward on her own initiative. "Makoto is still young and doesn't usually play these games. I'll drink for him." With that, she picked up a bottle and downed it in one go. Makoto looked at me, a hint of provocation in his eyes. Willow drank for me. "You can't back out and refuse to drink, since he's got someone helping him," Luis said coldly. "Then I'll drink for my brother." He glanced at Willow with a sneer. "George drove here today. You didn't forget that, did you?" At those words, Willow's heart skipped a beat. She instinctively looked at me, but seeing my calm, indifferent expression, she felt she hadn't done anything wrong after all. The two of them continued playing more and more enthusiastically, laughter filling the private room. I sat quietly in the corner and lit a cigarette. Willow said she came to the gathering, but in reality, she just wanted me to accept Makoto. Everything she did was indirectly for Makoto's benefit, but I had already let go. I didn't care anymore. The gloom in my heart completely lifted. I picked up the microphone and ordered a song. It was Willow's favorite, a song I had hummed countless times before, but now she was busy laughing and fooling around with Makoto, not hearing it at all. When deep love runs aground, I awaken and choose to let go. By the time the song ended, Willow had missed even the final line. Time quickly reached 1 a.m. After everyone had their fill of fun, we left the KTV. Makoto and I hadn't been drinking, so the two of us were responsible for driving everyone home. The headlights illuminated the narrow road ahead, and I felt a faint chill seep in. Just as I was fully focused on the road, a cargo truck suddenly came straight toward us from the front right. Chapter 6. Beep. The cargo truck veered off its lane, smashed through the guardrail, and came charging toward us in reverse. I flicked the steering wheel and slammed the brakes, managing to bring the car to a stop. Screech. We were only a hair's breadth away from each other. Then, a deafening crash exploded from behind. I felt a massive force shove me forward, completely out of control. My car slammed into the truck. The windshield shattered into pieces. The scene descended into chaos. Luis and the others rushed over and dragged me out of the car. "George, are you okay?" "I'm fine, just some minor injuries." I covered my cut forehead and wiped away the blood. Only after getting out did I realize it was Makoto's car that had rear-ended us. He climbed out painfully, grimacing. "My leg. It hurts so bad." Willow hurried out of the car and checked him over. When she saw it was just a bruise, she finally let out a sigh of relief. Then she turned to me, her face full of anger. "Why did you brake so suddenly? Didn't you know there was someone behind you? The front of the car is wrecked. What if Makoto's leg had been broken?" Luis had just finished helping me tend to my wound. Hearing that, his temper flared instantly. "Are you out of your mind? Can't you tell he rear-ended us? He was that far back and still crashed. His driving is trash, and he still has the nerve to get behind the wheel." Makoto's expression stiffened. He pretended to be remorseful and said, "Willow, I'm sorry. It's my fault. I'm still not very skilled. I apologize to everyone. This has nothing to do with you." Willow insisted, still blaming me, and even made a big show of calling an ambulance. It wasn't until the traffic police arrived that the situation was officially assessed. The accident was ruled an unavoidable incident. Both the cargo truck and I had handled it correctly. Only Makoto was at fault. He failed to keep a safe distance and even mistook the accelerator for the brake. Only then did Willow stop arguing. Yet she still kept making excuses for him. "Let's just forget it. He only just got his license. And he's injured too." "Injured? That barely counts as an injury. He has to apologize and pay today." Luis stood his ground, but I raised my hand to stop him. "Forget it. Let's just go back." By this point, I truly didn't care about anything anymore. I turned around and walked away, watching my retreating back. Willow hesitated for a moment, but she still didn't follow. She helped Makoto onto the ambulance and went to the hospital with him. 2 hours later, everything was settled. I gave up filing an insurance claim, packed the very last of my luggage, and prepared to head to the airport. There were 4 hours left before the 8 a.m. flight. After thinking for a long time, I finally decided to say goodbye. I sent Willow a message. Come home. I have something to tell you. The message sank like a stone into the sea. No reply. 1 hour. 2 hours. The flight reminders came again and again. Yet Willow's chat window remained empty. I quietly stood up, changed into the custom-tailored suit I had bought, rebandaged my wounds, and washed my face carefully. Just as I was about to leave early, a message finally came through. I'm at the hospital taking care of Makoto. I'll come back later. This time, I'll definitely spend proper time with you. I suddenly laughed. I had waited 7 days. I had waited 20 years, and I still got nothing. This time, I didn't want to wait anymore. Without even half a second of hesitation, I deleted Willow's contact completely. Then I left the breakup letter on the coffee table. On the cover, there was only one sentence. Willow, we are completely over. After finishing all of that, I took one last look at this home, and turned around to leave. Chapter 7. Outside the hospital, Willow was carrying breakfast back toward the ward. Makoto, didn't you say you have stomach problems? I only bought plain rice porridge. I've really troubled you. Senior, Makoto said softly. Not only are you taking care of me, you even have to drink plain porridge with me. He unconsciously leaned closer to Willow. Oh right, about last night's car crash. George won't say anything about it, will he? What could he possibly say? Willow replied casually. You're not skilled yet, and besides, it wasn't that serious. Makoto felt pleased inside, but still pretended to be concerned. That accident looked pretty bad though. Could George be hurt? I'm a little worried. Maybe you should go back and check on him. He added carefully. That way he won't misunderstand you again. Hearing this, Willow hesitated. The crash last night had indeed been severe. She had only focused on getting Makoto help and truly didn't know whether George had been injured. She was just about to open her phone and ask, but then she reconsidered. If George had been hurt too, he would have come to the hospital himself, right? After all, he was already 25, not like Makoto, a younger boy. By noon, after finishing everything on Makoto's side, Willow sent him back to school. For some reason, her nerves felt tightly wound. Ever since George had started throwing things away, it felt as though everything had begun to change. She had been accompanying Makoto these past few days, and hadn't noticed anything else. Come home. I have something to tell you. Seeing the message on her phone, Willow rushed home without a second's delay. What did George want to say? She tried to search her mind for clues, but found nothing, just a blank. Scrolling through their chat history, even Willow herself felt incredulous. In an entire week, they had exchanged only a few messages, and they had grown fewer and fewer over time. Only then did she realize that she knew almost nothing about George's recent life. The distance between them had kept growing. Until now there was barely any communication at all. How had it come to this? A sense of unease rose in her chest. Willow suddenly thought of what had happened at the mall. That's it. George must have seen her with Makoto. That had to be why he reacted so strongly. But he loved her so much. He wouldn't really get angry over something like that, would he? All she needed was a simple explanation. A little coaxing. That would be enough. With that in mind, Willow decided to buy a small gift, just as an apology. She sprinted from the first floor up to the fourth, flung the door open at top speed. Just as she had her excuses ready, she found the apartment completely empty. A deathly silence pierced her like needles. Everything related to George was gone, as if this person had never existed at all. Willow's hands began to tremble. She hurriedly grabbed her phone. Her messages showed only an exclamation mark. When she called, all she heard was a cold, mechanical female voice. She mustered her strength and looked toward the sofa, the place George liked most. The arrangement was the same. She could almost see him sitting in the corner, crushing out his cigarette as he welcomed her home. But in the next instant, the illusion vanished. The ashtray was spotless. Only a mess of documents lay scattered on the coffee table. Willow felt dizzy and staggered over. She picked up the letter that had been waiting there for so long. The words written on it were unbearably cold, stabbing straight into her eyes. Willow, we are completely over. Chapter 8. Boom. In that instant, Willow felt the world spin violently around her. She lost control and collapsed onto the sofa. Her world was crumbling non-stop, from the edges inward. All the possibilities had finally turned into reality, striking her heart with a crushing blow. Willow could no longer feel anything. She could only force herself to keep reading. If nothing unexpected happens, we will never see each other again in this lifetime, because my birthday wish was to leave you forever. You don't need to keep any of those promises to me anymore. I've waited long enough, and I don't want them anymore. The further she read, the more blurred Willow's vision became. 20 full years of memories surged into her mind, playing like a revolving lantern, precious, yet unbearably cheap in retrospect. As children, they played house on a park bench. They were endlessly fascinated by amusement parks, their eyes lighting up every time they saw a Ferris wheel. She had told George that when they grew up, She would take him to ride one, but until the day he left, she had never fulfilled that promise. George's words grew shorter and colder with each line. At the very end of the letter, there were only a few brief sentences. Willow, let's part on good terms. I don't want to love you anymore. George. Her gaze fell on the blank space below. The sudden ending felt like her oxygen supply had been cut off. Willow's breathing became rapid, and at last, her tears burst through the dam. The overwhelming shock robbed her of the ability to think. All she could do was search again and again for George's whereabouts. One day, then another. She went to the police station. She went to George's company. Still, there were no results. Just as she was on the verge of a breakdown, Willow passed by the shopping mall they had been to before. Louise had accompanied George there to buy so many daily necessities, he had to know something. She rushed straight to the KTV. At the front desk, she asked for Louise's contact information. Hello, I'm George's girlfriend. After a long pause, a cold laugh came from the other end. Girlfriend. Never heard of George having a girlfriend. If there's nothing else, I'm hanging up. Willow hurriedly stopped him. Wait, please. I just want to ask where George went. Before she could finish, Louise's furious voice exploded through the phone. What the hell are you pretending to be so affectionate for? Go keep your pretentious coquette pretty boy company already. Why are you clinging to George? Are you trying to disgust him to death? I'm sorry. I didn't mean to. Willow broke down, sobbing uncontrollably. What's the point of saying sorry to me now? Where were you earlier? The kid's already dead and now you bring the milk. Get lost. Don't ever bother George again. After being blocked by Louise, she stubbornly searched for other people's contact information and called them one by one. Without exception, every response told her to get lost, followed by a block. By the time she dialed the last number, Willow was already in despair. If she couldn't get an answer this time, she might never see George again in her entire life. After nearly half an hour of desperate pleading, the last friend finally couldn't take it anymore. Give it up. George has already gone to Germany. You won't be able to find him. Germany. Willow felt as if she had grabbed onto a lifeline. She frantically searched through everything on her phone. At last, she found a clue about George and Germany. It was from 2 years ago, when he was about to be assigned to work there. Because she couldn't bear to be apart from him, she had insisted that he fly back to stay with her. Only now did she discover the truth. The project George was responsible for was a massive international collaboration worth hundreds of billions, involving a famous conglomerate, and he had even been slated for a CEO appointment. And he had given all of that up. Thinking of everything she had done, Willow was overwhelmed with crushing guilt. She went mad and rushed straight toward the airport. UTC+1, Germany. Chapter 9. Berlin in early winter didn't seem to have changed much. The outskirts were still as gray and cold as ever. The headquarters had specially arranged an apartment for me, along with an assistant named Anna, who had studied in Germany. People always need time to get used to things. Anna comforted me. I wasn't used to it when I first came either. You'll be fine after a while. Once this project is finished, you'll be promoted to deputy CEO. Keep it up. I nodded. This collaboration was a major international project. The big data model development had reached the G3 stage. As long as I improved the search issues, it could be put into use in 6 months. My mind was completely occupied with work. I didn't even notice the farewell rumble. The bus carrying Anna drove away. When the lingering warmth dissipated, a thin, fragile figure appeared across from me, slowly walking this way. I felt a flicker of confusion. When I finally saw who it was, only a faint ripple passed through my heart, then everything returned to calm. Willow looked utterly disheveled. Her hair and face were a mess, and she was dressed far too lightly. It was hard to imagine how she had managed to find this place all by herself in a foreign country. George. Her eyes were filled with excitement, her voice hoarse. I'm sorry. I didn't move. My hands stayed in my pockets as I quietly watched her. I'm sorry, George. I was wrong. She hurried toward me in 3 quick steps, about to pull me into a hug, but suddenly froze. She was afraid, carefully watching my reaction. I still didn't move. Even the depths of my gaze were completely still, like a lifeless lake. What do you want? My words were clean and distant, like those of a stranger. I came to apologize to you. Before Willow could finish speaking, I turned around and walked away. She quickly followed, her heart pounding wildly. We walked one in front of the other, just like back when we used to stroll home together. Only this time, when I saw her hands frozen red from the cold, I didn't warm them against my chest anymore. I didn't drape my coat over her shoulders either. A moment later, I walked into a restaurant. Willow followed silently behind, like a child who had done something wrong. What surprised her was, I ordered 2 veal steaks. I slid 1 plate over to her, my gaze never once landing on her. After this meal, go back. Willow froze for a second, then pleaded. George, we've known each other for 20 years. I really can't live without you. We've already broken up, I said calmly. She still refused to give up. Even if we broke up, we can get back together. I know I've done a lot wrong. Just give me one more chance. Okay. I cut the steak cleanly in half with my knife. Give me a reason. A reason. Willow suddenly went blank. Only then did she realize that she didn't have a single reason she could put forward. All that past sweetness had been built solely on the foundation of my love for her. I had given so much for her, yet she herself had no capital to give anything back. She fell silent. So did I. After the meal ended, I turned and left without hesitation. Willow didn't follow this time. She only stared at my retreating figure, her eyes reddening, as if she had finally made up her mind. George, I will definitely repay everything I owe you, tenfold. Chapter 10. Willow made up her mind. She hadn't been able to give me anything before, but it wasn't too late to do so now. So from that day on, she followed me every single day, desperately buying me all kinds of gifts. Whether it was my apartment or the company, she stuck close without leaving my side, waiting punctually at 7 every morning. The branch office was practically turned into a package distribution center. Willow thought that this was what giving meant, that this was how she could win me back. But from beginning to end, I never once looked at her. I even found it unbearably annoying and deliberately took a back route home just to avoid her. A week passed quickly. Anna walked into the data lab holding a gift box and asked me. Another one from her. Where should I put it? I was in the middle of a critical step and had been interrupted. A flash of irritation crossed my eyes. Throw it away. Throw all of it away. From now on, anything she sends goes straight into the trash. Don't come tell me about it again. Okay, Anna replied, nodding thoughtfully. She glanced at the missed calls on my phone, hesitated for a moment, then handed it to me anyway. She's been calling the company line asking for you. As soon as I picked up, I learned that Willow had been detained. Her visa had already expired, yet she stubbornly refused to leave. She had spent all her money on gifts and didn't even have enough left to pay the fine or buy a ticket to be deported. I let out a sigh, ordered the entire data lab to pause work, and rushed out. When I arrived at the detention center, I first paid the fine for her, then went through the full set of procedures before finally settling the matter. Watching my busy figure through the window, Willow felt her heart wrapped in warmth, experiencing a kind of happiness she hadn't felt in a long time. It was as if she were back in that city again, George waking up every morning to make her a hot breakfast. So he still cared about her, as long as she kept persisting. One day she would surely move him. Willow stared at George's back, not daring to look away for even a second. Afraid that if she blinked, he would disappear. When all the formalities were finally completed, George really didn't avoid her anymore. He just sat quietly on a chair. Seeing this, she was so happy she nearly jumped. She walked over on her own initiative and threw herself into my arms. You finally came to pick me up. But in the very next second, I pushed her away. Stay away from me. For the first time, a look of outright disgust and anger appeared on my face. She asked in shock. What's wrong, George? Haven't you forgiven me already? Forgive you? How am I supposed to forgive you? Do you have any idea how much work I've delayed because of your nonsense? I've fought my way to where I am now. Are you determined to ruin everything I have? I grabbed her collar fiercely and demanded. Ask your own conscience. I gave you a full 20 years of my life. What more do you want from me? What exactly do you want? Seeing me on the verge of losing control, Willow was terrified and didn't know what to do. In all the years we'd been together, she had never seen me like this. It was as if all the resentment I had accumulated over the years had erupted at once. I was still wearing my work clothes, which I hadn't had time to change. Dark circles from sleepless nights hung under my eyes. Only then did she realize how much grievance the men in front of her had endured. I didn't mean to, George. I'm really sorry, truly. Is sorry worth anything? I pushed her away again, forcing back the tears in my eyes. Only I knew that everything she was doing now was merely to make up for her own guilt. She had never once tried to put herself in my place. Willow, don't be so selfish. I'm not here to clean up your mess. I'm here to send you back home. From now on, don't appear in front of me again. It's really annoying. Chapter 11. Hearing those words, Willow completely lost control. Even now, she still didn't understand why everything she did only made things worse. My words and accusations cut into her heart like knives. Yet instead of feeling sadness, she felt even deeper guilt, so deep that she wished she could repay it with her life. After all, everything that had happened today was entirely her own doing. Do you really not want me anymore? I left the plane ticket behind and disappeared into the vast morning light without looking back. George doesn't want me anymore. He really doesn't want me anymore. Willow wanted to chase after me, but when she remembered what I had said, she could only return home in a daze. She had done too many wrong things. If she didn't behave now, she truly wouldn't have even the slightest chance left, because of the withdrawal-like pain brought on by the breakup. She didn't sleep well for half a month, at least before. She could still see him. Now, all she could do was stare at photos and ache with longing. Every day she prayed to gods and consulted fortune tellers, asking how to win back someone's heart. To learn about George's current situation, she went to Luis every few days. "Why is it you again? Aren't you annoying?" Luis had just gotten off work when she blocked him at his car door. "Please help me say something good to George. You're the only one who can help me now." Looking at Willow's disheveled appearance, he let out a cold laugh. "Didn't we help you enough already? George gave you so many chances. When did you ever cherish a single one?" Only then did Willow realize it. If she had just gone home once in a while, she would have noticed the house gradually emptying. If she had defended George even once, he wouldn't have become so utterly hopeless. George, at the end of the day, was a man of flesh and blood. He also wanted to be chosen by her, firmly and without hesitation. When he was wronged again and again, how utterly cold and broken must he have felt? "Well, why can't you say anything now?" Luis pointed at her and cursed through clenched teeth. "Do you know why you never noticed any of this? Because you were busy being all lovey-dovey with that pretty boy Junior of yours. When did you ever have time to care about George? Now that you've lost him, you finally know pain, and you're really good at putting on an act, aren't you?" Willow shook her head, panic creeping into her voice. "It's not like that. Makoto is just my junior." Still trying to argue, Luis exploded in rage. "You abandoned George for your junior. You risked everything for your junior. You even changed your major for your junior. If you like him so much, then go be with him. Why are you still clinging to George? A piece of trash like you who 2 times people, I'd have slapped you to death already." George holding himself back and not laying a hand on you was more than you deserved. Be grateful. Willow felt as if electricity had jolted through her heart. Only when she finally stood in George's position did she realize just how horribly wrong she had been. After a long silence, after Luis had cursed enough, she finally spoke. "Tell George to unblock me. I'll make one last call, to help his brother get rid of this entanglement." Luis agreed. Meanwhile, I had just finished my work and sat down with a cup of tea. After repeated assurances from Luis, I removed Willow from my blacklist. "1 minute," I said flatly. "Okay." Willow didn't dare waste a single second. "Starting from my birthday," she apologized carefully, recounting every single incident without missing anything. As time was about to run out, she spoke with absolute determination. "George, I understand that you can't forgive me right now, so wait for me. I'll completely cut off my relationship with Makoto. I swear I won't let you down." Even now, she still believed that the reason I no longer loved her was because of Makoto. As long as she cut Makoto off cleanly, she and I could go back to how things were. And I held the phone in my hand. Falling into silence. Chapter 12. Because I had just removed her from the blacklist, I immediately saw all the messages Willow had sent. A full 999 plus messages. Nothing but apologies and memories, so many that it made one feel helpless just reading them. I didn't know what to say anymore. A strange, complicated emotion welled up inside me, and my gaze drifted unconsciously toward the corner. There lay the down jacket she had given me, a Canada Goose jacket worth tens of thousands. It felt wasteful to throw it away, so it became the only thing I kept. But even now, I had never worn it. I wanted to tell Willow that there was no longer any possibility between us. Then a voice suddenly came from the other end of the line. 1 minute is up. By the time the call ended, I had just managed to say that sentence. I didn't know whether she heard it or not. The tea in my hand had already gone cold, and everything was beyond recovery. The winter wind brushed past the window, blowing all the way to Orange City, and carrying with it the approaching season of graduation. With no other choice, Willow returned to school to prepare for things there. Not long after she arrived, Makoto came looking for her. "Willow, I've got good news for you. My paper has been published, and it's gotten quite a bit of attention." Willow simply replied calmly. She handed him a tote bag she had already prepared. "These are the things you gave me. Take them back." Makoto froze, panic flashing through his heart. He had already heard that Willow had disappeared for half a month, supposedly searching for George's whereabouts. And now this. Could it be that? "What's this for? You can't just take back things you've already given," Makoto said with a forced smile. Willow didn't argue. She just shoved the bag into his hands. "Willow, did I do something wrong?" Makoto hurriedly asked. "If there's a problem, tell me. I'll definitely change." Seeing Willow turn and leave, he immediately followed after her. "Willow, at least tell me the reason." The moment she heard the word reason, Willow felt her anger surge. "You want a reason, right? Because you were constantly pulling strings behind the scenes. I got dumped by the boyfriend I'd been with for 20 years. That's the reason." Hearing this, Makoto actually felt more excited. If George had broken up with her, didn't that mean his own chances were even better? She was probably just hurting from the breakup right now. Women were easy to comfort, As long as you stepped up when they were at their most vulnerable, they would become dependent on you. He had succeeded many times before using that exact formula. So Makoto immediately tried to console her. Willow, I know you've been in a bad mood lately, but everything that's past will pass. Don't be sad, you still have me. How about I take you to a movie? Then we can go eat Western food. Willow simply glanced at him. Don't look for me again. Do what you're supposed to do. At those words, Makoto completely panicked. So it was true, she really had no feelings for him. From beginning to end, the one she wanted was always George. No, don't abandon me. You said you'd always take care of me. You said you'd dote on me like a little brother. What do you like about George? Tell me, I can learn everything. Makoto grabbed Willow's hand tightly. She shook him off impatiently. At a time like this, a grown man was still thinking about being coddled. He truly wasn't comparable to George in any way. Let go right now, or I'll report you for harassment. Originally, considering that Makoto had treated her fairly well, Willow had chosen a quiet, decisive break, but his relentless clinging made waves of disgust rise in her, and the more he acted like this, the more she couldn't help thinking of George. In the end, Makoto let go. His tear-streaked face was filled with resentment and unwillingness. He clenched his teeth, and a sudden thought rose in his mind. Chapter 13. In the blink of an eye. A full 6 months flew by. Spring had arrived in Berlin. The mild oceanic breeze carried a hint of warmth and brightness. I had just finished the final wrap-up work. A message from Willow popped up on my phone. Afraid that I'd find her annoying, she sent exactly one message every day after getting off work, never more. When are you coming back? I miss you so much. I habitually swiped the message away. Anna leaned over with a cheerful grin. What are you looking at? Let me see. Just spam messages. Oh, she shrugged. So, are you going to the gathering tonight? Anna reached out and pressed her small hands onto my shoulders. The project's finished. President Han specially organized a celebration banquet. Of course I'm going, I replied. Why wouldn't I? At the party, we each had a couple of drinks. Looking at Berlin's deep blue night sky, we gently clinked glasses. You've worked hard these past months. I'm not exactly easy to get along with, am I? Not at all, Anna said with a smile. I actually like your personality. She gazed up at the sky and murmured. They all say you're very steady and composed. I think it's a special kind of charm, like this city itself. Very captivating. You're quite the talker. I chuckled. What are your plans for the future? I'll keep being your assistant, Anna said softly. Once I'm officially hired, I can get permanent residency and stay in Germany long term. She looked at me, her eyes sparkling. She had studied abroad for so long that loneliness had long taken root in her heart. It wasn't until George arrived that she finally had someone to admire and a direction to strive toward. Just then, President Han walked over slowly. After a few pleasantries, he went straight to the point. George, this time we really owe it to you. But there's something I need to discuss with you. Please go ahead. The company's plans have changed. Originally, we intended to have you serve as deputy CEO here, but headquarters is still uneasy. Someone as high caliber as you, it's safer to keep you closer to home. I frowned slightly. What do you mean? I plan to transfer you back, President Han said, patting my shoulder. You'll still be promoted to deputy CEO. Don't worry, your benefits will be exactly the same. 3 million a year in salary, plus tens of millions in project bonuses. You'll also participate in company decision-making and receive corresponding shares. I fell silent for a moment. Money, after all, had never really mattered to me, but in the end, I nodded. All right. After President Han left, I remained quiet for a long time. A trace of disappointment flickered through Anna's eyes, and her smile faded. Feeling lost all of a sudden, she asked, a bit. Your situation with her really isn't that important, Anna said gently. The more seriously you treat it, the harder it is to let go. She swirled her wine glass. The soft lights reflected on her clear, delicate face. I thought about it and felt she made sense. She seemed to understand me well. Every time, she could cut straight to the heart with a single sentence. Then I'll head back home tomorrow, I said. I'll ask them to take good care of you. Anna turned her head away. Though she felt deeply reluctant, she could only bury her feelings inside. With George's personality, her confession would only fall on deaf ears. No need to trouble yourself, she said lightly. If you're gone, staying at the company won't be much fun anyway. We'll talk about it later. I seemed to sense something, but still said, take good care of yourself. We'll work together again if there's a chance. Okay. The next day, the plane landed at Orange City Airport. After half a year, I finally set foot on this land again. Several friends had specially booked a high-end restaurant to host a welcome-back dinner for me. Well, if it isn't CEO Wang himself, back to let the brothers enjoy the good life. 6 months and you somehow look even younger. Of course he does, he's been frozen half to death over there. The moment I stepped into the restaurant, the atmosphere turned lively. I couldn't help but smile. But when my eyes caught sight of the abrupt figure standing at the entrance, that smile slowly faded. Chapter 14. Willow was dressed beautifully today, yet it still couldn't hide the dark circles of exhaustion beneath her eyes. She looked around anxiously and finally spotted our group. Months of pent-up longing spilled out all at once, making her voice tremble. "George, you finally came back to see me. Is this woman stalking us?" Louise frowned and motioned for everyone to head into the private room first. Willow followed closely behind and stepped forward, grabbing me directly. "George, why didn't you tell me you were coming back? You've gotten thinner overseas. Come home and I'll cook for you, help you regain some weight." I moved her hand away and spoke flatly. "What does that have to do with you?" Even faced with such coldness, her face was still full of smiles, without the slightest hint of discouragement. Louise and the others really couldn't stop her anymore, so they had no choice but to let her come in. Willow was overjoyed, feeling as if she had been acknowledged. "George, I've been seriously studying artificial intelligence these past 2 weeks. I want to do the same kind of work as you in the future. How long are you staying this time? Are you not leaving anymore? I've completely cut ties with Makoto. Please, talk to me." Just then, Makoto walked in as well, excitedly hooking his arm around Willow's. "Willow, I got an interview invitation." Ever since Willow dumped him last time, he had worked desperately to change himself. He had even applied to the same STER group where George worked. He had molded himself more and more into George's image, thinking that would make her change her mind. Willow turned her head, her expression changing instantly as she shouted, "Why are you here? Didn't I tell you I'd completely cut ties with you? Get out right now." She had finally managed to get close to George again. If Makoto messed this up, everything would be ruined. But I didn't care about any of it. I barely even looked at them, because I had never intended to get involved in their love or hate again. It had nothing to do with me. Luis was about to kick them out. I raised my hand and stopped him. "Forget it. Let's just sit down and eat together." After everything I'd been through, my state of mind was no longer what it used to be. A grown man kicking people out over this kind of thing wouldn't look good anyway. So the two of them sat down like that. Willow deliberately moved closer to me. Throughout the meal, she kept asking after me and even turned the lazy Susan to serve me food. Makoto, by contrast, was left completely ignored, cast aside without a single glance. The scene was eerily similar to the farewell party back then, only now, their roles were completely reversed. After the banquet ended, we all got up to leave, with Willow following closely behind. Makoto tried to grab her to talk things through, but she shook him off forcefully. "Get lost." He could only stand there awkwardly, watching everyone's backs as they walked away, his heart filled with resentment. Why? He had worked so hard, yet George still came back to snatch everything away from him. After returning, he sent Willow many messages, but to his surprise, her attitude was extremely gentle, completely different from earlier. She even asked him for detailed information about STER Group, saying she was preparing for an interview the next day. Makoto was overjoyed. He thought she wanted to work together with him. After all, she had even changed her major for him. There was no way she'd let go so easily. Makoto handed over all the information without holding anything back. Hope ignited once more in his heart. The next morning, Willow indeed appeared downstairs at the company, but she had returned to her usual calm demeanor. The two of them entered the conference room together, waiting for the interviewer. Makoto thoughtfully helped her organize her materials and shared various interview tips. Just as he was envisioning their future, I walked in wearing a gray suit, leading the two of them forward. "Hello, I'm the Deputy CEO of STER Group, and I'll be your interviewer today." Chapter 15. The men before them had sharp, resolute features, and the tailored suit only made him look more mature and composed. As he faced the two of them, however, there was almost no emotional fluctuation in his expression. He had come personally to conduct the interview simply because he handled matters himself and didn't want to miss any potential talent. But in Willow's eyes, this interview seemed as if George had specially prepared it for her. "George, so it really is you. You came back as vice president. Does that mean you won't be leaving again?" Tears shimmered in her eyes, bathed in the sunlight streaming through the floor-to-ceiling windows. He looked tall, brilliant, and completely out of reach. At that moment, she remembered how she had once been drawn to this man's excellence, how she had fallen in love with his rigor, his focus, his unwavering devotion. "Vice President." Makoto's face beside her instantly darkened. Seeing the admiration in Willow's eyes, he finally understood why she had been so proactive last night. She had come for George all along, not for him. George had actually stayed in the country and become vice president. That realization shattered his remaining hope all over again. The interview begins. I ignored Willow entirely and proceeded strictly according to protocol. After reviewing both candidates' backgrounds, the other two interviewers were already inclined, subtly, to reject them. But adhering to fairness and impartiality, I approved both of them for entry into a probationary period. The news nearly brought Willow to tears of excitement. As long as she could stay in the company, she'd have a reason to see George every day. Because her professional foundation was weak, she was assigned to a service-related position. Her goal, however, was clear: work her way up and become George's secretary. That way, she'd have more opportunities. "George, let me help you carry your teacup." Watching Willow constantly fawn over him, running around behind others just to please him, Makoto's heart sank to rock bottom. George was dazzling, so young, yet already the company's chief designer and vice president. And he himself was still just an intern. Someone like that, how could he possibly keep Willow's heart? Despair flooded Makoto, followed by endless jealousy and hatred. He had to use some methods, preferably ones that would completely ruin George. Meanwhile, Willow followed me all the way to the office. When she saw that there was no secretary inside, her heart secretly leapt with joy. "Is there anything else?" I asked. About to close the door, she immediately took out a pair of diamond rings. "This is a gift I picked out for you." Looking at the exquisitely engraved rings, my thoughts were instantly pulled back 2 years. Back then, I had set my eyes on this very pair of engagement rings worth tens of thousands. I had worked hard for a long time, wanting to buy them and get engaged to Willow, but she kept delaying, insisting that we wait until after graduation. I had once urged her to get engaged, she refused. Now, she was the one begging me to do it. The irony was almost laughable. I merely glanced at them and said, "Why give them to me? I don't need them. I saved up half a year of living expenses to buy these." Willow said cautiously, "This is to thank you for taking care of me. As a return gift, you should accept them." "You're overthinking it. I was just doing my job." I stepped back 2 paces. "And from now on, address me by my title. Everyone is treated the same." Bang. I shut the door firmly, leaving Willow mercilessly outside. What she thought was sincerity turned out to be utterly worthless in George's eyes. Only then did she realize she had truly shattered his heart beyond repair. Any attempt to win him back now was worth nothing at all. Over the next half-month, this scene played out almost daily in the company. Over time, it all turned into office gossip. Listening to the whispers and discussions, Makoto felt even worse. After working overtime for half a month, he finally entered the data lab to participate in the project research. This time, he absolutely would not let George have it easy. Chapter 16. As one of the company's core technical pillars, I personally led the team to develop a brand new AI project. In just 1 month, the project had already reached a critical stage and was ready for delivery. After gaining system access, Makoto planted a virus into the control console. While Willow was away from the monitoring room, he conveniently deleted the surveillance footage from that time as well. Everyone was busy wrapping things up. No one noticed anything wrong. The delivery day arrived quickly. Inside the massive exhibition hall, I was introducing the latest model to our Middle Eastern clients. At first, several of the clients were very satisfied and were already preparing to pay the deposit. But during the live demonstration, something went wrong. BZZZT. The computer screen suddenly flickered. The AI began generating garbled sentences, some even containing insults. Within just 5 minutes of the incident, everyone involved was summoned to the conference room. Bang. What the hell is going on here? President Han's face was dark with rage. The clients are extremely disappointed. The company has lost tens of billions because of this. Who was responsible for this project? There must be strict accountability and serious consequences. At that moment, several executives who had never gotten along with me began seizing the opportunity to throw dirt. If I remember correctly, this project was handled by Vice President Wang. Isn't he supposed to be core talent? Making such a basic mistake, I think this position needs a replacement. Not just him, the entire department should bear responsibility. Hearing this, President Han frowned deeply. He hadn't expected George, who had always been known for exceptional competence, to stumble at a moment like this. Although he wanted to protect George, in front of everyone, he had to take a firm stance. Makoto was secretly delighted. But I stood up unhurriedly. I have complete records of every step in the design process. They can prove that nothing was wrong with the workflow. I believe this was deliberate sabotage. Willow stood up as well. I can testify for Vice President Wang, she said. I think this should be thoroughly investigated before assigning blame. The interns involved in the project had been too afraid to speak against the executives. But after hearing her words, they gathered their courage and spoke up for me as well. Faced with this situation, the executives couldn't push any further. President Han, who had been searching for a way out, seized the moment. Fine, I'll apply for one more opportunity. I'll give you 5 days. If you can deliver the project successfully, the penalties will be waived. Otherwise, the punishment will stand. Seeing me escape immediate punishment, and Willow speaking up on my behalf, Makoto's expression completely collapsed. Why? Why could he never defeat George? Why did Willow trust and side with George so completely? He had finally found a chance to kick George out. There was no way he could allow him another opportunity. Very quickly, a vicious, two birds one stone idea formed in Makoto's mind. The corners of his lips curled upward unconsciously. Vice President's office. Willow was busily preparing materials. I entered with a tight frown and asked coldly, "Who told you to come into my office?" "I wanted to help you investigate this incident," she said quickly. "Don't worry, George. I'll definitely catch whoever framed you. Get out." I tapped the desk with my finger and said icily, "The surveillance footage from that time was deleted. If you weren't coming here every day and neglecting your post, how would someone else have had the chance? Just do your own job properly. If this happens again, you're fired." I sat back in my chair, staring out the window for a long time. Back then, I really shouldn't have let her into this place. Willow stood there, stunned and foolish, before finally leaving in dejection. Every time, she managed to make things worse. Yet she couldn't stop herself from wanting to do more for George. Now that the misunderstanding had grown deeper and deeper, she had to expose the real culprit as soon as possible. Otherwise, George would hate her for the rest of his life. Chapter 17. Because the previous model's data had been thrown into chaos, I had no choice but to work overtime and create a brand new one from scratch. Others wanted to help, but I turned them all down. This time, I didn't want to trust anyone. I chose to develop it alone. 4 or 5 full days. I lived in the lab, forgetting food and sleep, and it was precisely because of this that Makoto found his opportunity. Every time I stayed up late, fully focused on my work, he would secretly turn the air conditioning down to the lowest temperature. Already weakened, I quickly came down with a high fever. Even so, I still stayed at my post, because I knew this was a decisive battle after returning home. If I lost this one, I would have no foothold left in the company. I had always carried everything on my own, before, and now as well. At the second delivery presentation, I double-checked and adjusted everything again and again before daring to begin. President Han had managed to win those clients back with a 10% discount, though they were still reluctant. This time, however, I spoke first. "Ladies and gentlemen, to make up for the last incident, what I'm presenting today is a second-generation upgraded version. Both speed and the search engine have been comprehensively improved, and I solemnly promise, if anything goes wrong again, I will resign immediately." Hearing my confidence, the clients hesitated for a long moment before deciding to give it a try. The next second, "Start testing." Data began flashing across the screen. The AI answered every question flawlessly, with almost zero delay. The sight stunned everyone present. The executives finally witnessed my true strength. Not one of them dared to say a word. The clients were so excited that they made a decision on the spot, doubling their order. Just as the entire company erupted in celebration, I collapsed to the ground from the fever. George. Willow was the first to rush over. With everyone's help, they sent me to the hospital. According to the doctor, George's condition was serious. Long-term overwork had weakened my immune system, and the fever wouldn't subside anytime soon. 2 days later, Willow was anxiously pacing in the monitoring room, worrying about how to help me recover faster. Makoto suddenly came looking for her, carrying a thermos of fragrant chicken soup. "Willow, you haven't eaten properly for days. You should nourish yourself a bit. Take it away." "I'm not eating," Willow replied impatiently, casting him a glance. Seizing the chance, Makoto said, "Come on, this soup is a folk remedy from my hometown. 1 bowl and all illnesses fade away. Drink it while it's hot." Hearing this, Willow finally looked up. "A cure-all?" she asked. "Give me the recipe." Her mind was filled with nothing but George. I was so weak, I definitely needed nourishment. That evening, after getting off work, Willow rushed straight to the hospital. In her hands was chicken soup she had personally simmered for hours. To give George the best nourishment, she had bought the most expensive ingredients and medicinal herbs. "Stop." Outside the room, Luis, who was on night watch, stubbed out his cigarette. "What are you doing here? George doesn't want to see you." "It's fine, just help me give him this bowl of soup," Willow said quickly. "He's too weak, he really needs it." Luis wanted to refuse, but thinking about how George hadn't eaten anything decent these past few days, he finally took the soup inside. Willow stood outside foolishly, waiting for George to praise her cooking. Instead, Luis rushed back out in panic. "Nurse, where's the nurse? My brother is vomiting, hurry." Several medical staff in white coats rushed in. After examination, they discovered it was an allergic reaction. Luis poured out the soup from the thermos, and his face instantly twisted with rage. He grabbed Willow by the collar. "Don't you fucking know George is allergic to goji berries? Are you determined to kill him before you're satisfied?" Chapter 18. What? Allergic to goji berries? Willow froze completely, staring at the piles of goji berries in the trash can. She was at a loss. I thought they were good for him. Do you think you're being considerate? Luis laughed in anger. You've known him for 20 years. Have you ever truly cared about him? If you'd even cooked soup for him once, you'd know he's allergic to goji berries. Even I know that, but you, of all people, don't. Willow's face turned deathly pale. At that moment, she felt as if she were being roasted over an open fire, the pain drilling straight into her heart. She finally understood why she always managed to turn good intentions into disasters. Because she had never truly cared about George. He knew she didn't eat cilantro or seafood, and he always paid attention when they ate together. Yet she didn't understand him at all, and had almost killed him. I'm sorry, George. Willow instantly burst into tears. She finally knew exactly where she had gone wrong. Powerless and terrified, she could only apologize over and over again. The patient's condition is not optimistic. He's already experiencing spasms. Get the oxygen now. The nurse frowned, urging them both to leave. For a full half hour, Luis cursed nonstop, spewing every dirty word he knew. Willow felt as if she were about to shatter. She knelt outside the door in repentance, not moving an inch. Fortunately, it didn't get into his system, the nurse said as she came out, glancing at Willow. Otherwise, it could have led to anaphylactic shock. Don't give patients random food when you don't understand their condition. If something happens, you'll be responsible. Willow nodded frantically, then rushed back into the ward and knelt in front of me. George's face was covered in faint red rashes, his eyes staring at the ceiling. Luis let out a long sigh. He no longer had the strength to scold Willow. He was waiting for me to decide what to do. I'm sorry. You don't need to apologize to me. I murmured. This is my fate. Don't say that. Everything before was my fault. These past 6 months, I've reflected every single day. I'm a bastard. Trash. I let you down. Willow slapped herself twice, tears pouring down her face. George, whether you hit me or curse me, I'll accept it. I'm willing to spend my whole life repaying you. I was silent for 2 seconds. I don't need it. Leaving me is the best repayment you can give. Dim light struggled against the darkness of the night. Willow knelt there for 10 minutes, then forced herself to stand up. I wanted her gone, and she could only leave. From that day on, people in the company started to notice. Willow no longer ran to the vice president's office. She stopped bringing gifts and began working seriously. But no one knew that whenever she passed the office door, she couldn't help but glance inside. That after returning to the monitoring room, she would replay the footage again and again, from morning until night. One day, Willow came to Makoto's workstation. Willow, what's up? Makoto was overjoyed. His plan had finally worked. She was finally taking the initiative to look for him. At that moment, he felt as if his life were about to undergo a major change. So you finally figured it out. Willow, no matter how others treat you, I'll always love you. His affectionate confession received no response. Willow directly opened his drawer and precisely pulled out a black USB drive. Makoto, do you have anything you want to say? Her voice was cold, so cold it trembled. Makoto's expression changed. I don't know what you mean. I picked up that USB drive the other day. I haven't looked at what's inside. Chapter 19. I reviewed an entire month of surveillance footage. I know every single detail. To catch the real culprit. Willow had watched the recordings at least twice a day, although she hadn't found direct evidence of Makoto entering the control console. Other cameras clearly showed him sneaking around with a USB drive in hand. If nothing unexpected had happened, there was definitely a problem with that USB drive, no matter how Makoto tried to argue. The moment the USB drive was detected to contain a virus, the truth was finally exposed. Willow, please, don't. He begged desperately. If you expose me, my entire life will be ruined. When you were hurting George, did you ever think about this day? Willow trembled with rage. She wanted nothing more than to tear Makoto apart on the spot. I didn't do it on purpose, Makoto cried. I just wanted to use the USB drive to download files. I didn't know there was a virus on it. He immediately switched to a pitiful act, kowtowing repeatedly until his forehead was split and bleeding. Seeing his miserable state, Willow couldn't help feeling a flicker of hesitation. It also reminded her of how humble and desperate she herself had been in front of George. After spending so much time together, she had once believed that this junior didn't seem like someone truly that vicious. Seeing Willow hesitate, Makoto secretly rejoiced. She was still under his control. She must still have feelings for him. My good sister. He sobbed, tears streaming down his face. You know I'm not that kind of person. I've never blamed George. I know this is all my fault. So I've been doing everything I can to make it up to both of you. Willow's heart finally softened. But in the next second, she noticed a medical examination report on Makoto's desk. Because the name on it was unmistakably George. Why do you have his medical report? Makoto didn't even have time to react before the report was snatched away. Willow froze. The page was filled with red highlighted data. Low immunity. 5 allergens. Among them, Goji berries. Only then did she finally understand everything. Makoto, you're not human. Smack. Makoto felt a burning pain on his face. All his smugness vanished instantly, replaced by sheer terror. Willow, I know I was wrong. Please don't expose me. I'll apologize to George. I'll be his servant if I have to. Get out. Willow's eyes were bloodshot, her voice hoarse. If she had never gotten involved with Makoto in the first place, none of this would have happened. When she thought of George lying pale on the hospital bed, her heart ached dully. Makoto, I will never forgive you. From today on, don't ever appear in front of me again. Willow violently flung the report into Makoto's face and rushed straight toward the CEO's office. 1 hour later, the entire company issued an official announcement. The police also arrived to investigate. Makoto's actions had not only harmed the company's interests but had already crossed into serious criminal territory. The company filed a lawsuit against him. His belongings were thrown out, and he collapsed on the floor, utterly despairing. He had only wanted to win Willow back. What had he done wrong? Love, career, life, 20 years of struggle. And now he had nothing. Colleagues looked at him with disgust and contempt. Meanwhile, George was promoted again, his salary raised, admired by everyone. The stark contrast gradually twisted Makoto's mind. George, this is all because of you. I will never let you go. Never. After Makoto was taken away for investigation, the company finally returned to calm. Because of her role in exposing the truth, Willow was credited with merit and given the chance to become a full-time employee. President Han even allowed her to choose her promotion path. So, he asked, do you want to go to the marketing department or the management department? Chapter 20. Just before getting off work, President Han suddenly called Willow into his office. The marketing department and the management department would both suit you. If you're willing, I can transfer you right away. Willow hesitated, then asked tentatively, can I be a secretary? A secretary? That's more of an administrative role. President Han looked puzzled. Whose secretary do you want to be? Vice President Wang's. That won't work. Vice President Wang already has a secretary. Hearing this, Willow froze. You didn't know. President Han continued. A young woman just joined today. She'd interned here before, so she was converted to full-time directly. In the underground parking garage. I'll give you a ride. This area isn't convenient for the subway. I looked at Anna standing in front of me and asked casually, by the way, why did you suddenly come back to the country? My course has ended. Anna stuck out her tongue playfully. What? Don't tell me you didn't want me back. Am I that annoying? How could you be? I lightly pinched her cheek. You're always putting labels on me. Come on, let's go. Just as we got into the car, Willow appeared. She stared in shock at Anna sitting in the passenger seat, then asked me unwillingly, George, who is she? Before I could answer, Anna suddenly smiled gently and leaned into my arms. Hello, I'm George's secretary, and also his girlfriend. May I ask what you need? Facing this younger, prettier girl, Willow's jealousy exploded almost instantly. Everything had still seemed possible, but now, it was completely over. At that moment, she finally understood. The pain and helplessness George had once endured were now magnified hundreds, thousands of times within her. George, she's lying, right? Willow forced a stiff smile. She just arrived today. Say something, just tell me whether it's true or not. I haven't bothered you these days. She added hurriedly. I just wanted to work quietly for you. Please, just tell me the truth. I gripped the steering wheel, my gaze unusually calm, even though the truth wasn't exactly what she thought. I had no desire to return to the life I once lived. I no longer loved Willow, and I certainly didn't pity her. Yes, I said flatly, I'm dating her. Anna added smoothly. We met back in Germany. Does Miss Liu have any other questions? No. Willow shook her head blankly, despair already crawling through her heart. All she could do was watch the car drive away, forcing herself to maintain the last shred of dignity in front of another woman. Inside the car, you've been dealing with this every day since you came back? Anna asked thoughtfully. More or less. She really is persistent. Anna said softly. Looks like she truly can't let you go. She probed carefully. Do you still have feelings for her? I shook my head. I don't know why you all keep asking that. If a person can develop feelings for someone, I said calmly, then they can also lose them. There's nothing in this world you can't forget. If there is, then it just means time hasn't been enough. That makes sense. Anna giggled. Then how about you treat me to a meal, to reward my performance today? What kind of vice president treats his secretary to dinner? I chuckled. But since you helped out, I'll do it this once. Yay. Anna cheered, gazing out the window in high spirits. To return to the country sooner. She had spent months pushing herself to finish her courses early. Thankfully, George hadn't reconciled with Willow. A girl's little feelings were impossible to hide. I had known all along, and had deliberately left the secretary position vacant. But I wasn't stable yet, and I didn't want to respond to this relationship for now. I'd always been a serious, responsible person. I would never juggle emotions like some people did. At the restaurant, Anna ate heartily, as if she wanted to stuff everything into her mouth at once. She'd been abroad for too long, her obsession with Chinese food had reached an extreme. Watching this girl with zero concern for her image, I couldn't help but smile. Whenever I was with her, I felt unusually relaxed. Oh, let me ask you something. Anna wiped her mouth and continued. What kind of wife do you plan to look for in the future? Chapter 21. I didn't answer her. Instead, I asked, what kind of husband do you want to find? Someone like you. After saying that, Anna smiled. Her cheeks flushed red. It was evening. The sunset slanted gently across the horizon. The girl standing before me stirred something unfamiliar inside my long-dead heart, bringing it back to life little by little. In the days that followed, we grew closer and closer, no longer trying to avoid anything. And all of this was seen clearly by Willow. She had once clung to a shred of hope, but as things progressed, she could only watch as her George drifted farther and farther away. Yet she never went to disturb him again, choosing instead to swallow all the pain on her own. One night, I was heading home. This was a new apartment I had just bought. I had no idea how Willow managed to find it. George, can you come home with me? Her eyes were bloodshot. She was clearly drunk. I'm already home, I replied. What do you want? This isn't our home, she insisted. Our home is the apartment by the 3rd Ring Road. Have you forgotten? She grabbed my hand. When we first bought that place, we picked out the furniture together. That's enough. I shook her off. What exactly are you trying to do? Does saying all this even mean anything now? George, I just miss you too much. Willow's tears streamed down uncontrollably. The house is empty. I'm so cold without you. I feel like I'm going crazy. I'm begging you, just stay with me for one day. Okay. Just one day. After that, I'll leave you completely and never interfere with your life again. I sighed, my expression grave. Willow, I have a girlfriend now. What you're doing counts as harassment. Do you understand? You already ruined one relationship. Don't come and destroy my second one. With that, I turned to leave. Willow was drunk. Seeing me walk away, all she could think was that George was leaving her forever. She rushed forward and clung to my leg, begging desperately. Please, George, just grant me this one wish. You once said you'd love me forever. I'm really in so much pain. You're really annoying. I finally snapped and shouted at her. Do you think you're the only one in the world who's hurting? How long is it going to take for you to mature, for you to grow up? There is absolutely no possibility between us anymore. Ask me 1,000 times, 10,000 times, it'll be the same answer. Even if I spent my whole life with a dog, I, George, would never choose you. The moment those words came out, Willow felt as if she'd been pierced through by ice. A cold wind blew past, her drunkenness vanished, and her heart died completely. I broke free and continued walking toward the apartment gate, but at that very moment, a figure suddenly burst out from the bushes. George, I'll die with you. Makoto, disheveled and wild-eyed, charged at me with a dagger in hand. I didn't react in time. He slammed me to the ground as I struggled desperately. I've lost everything. I'm going to jail anyway, might as well kill you first. He laughed maniacally, raising the knife straight toward my chest. Willow went completely insane. She rushed over and yanked Makoto from behind. George, run. Help. Murder. Someone's killing him. You filthy woman. Even now, all you think about is George. Makoto snapped. He shoved Willow to the ground instead. If you love him that much, then go to hell with him. Willow. All I saw were streaks of bright red splattering into the air. The security guards at the apartment gate rushed over, pinned Makoto to the ground, and called the police. People lifted Willow onto a stretcher and rushed her into an ambulance. Up until she was wheeled into the emergency room, my mind was still in a daze. George. I'm so glad you're okay. Stop talking. I forced down the turmoil in my chest and shouted at the pale woman. Even if I die, I'd accept it. This is what I owe you in this lifetime. I've caused you so much trouble these days. I'm really sorry. I just wanted to win you back. I only wanted you to love me one more time. Willow forced a smile. Blood spilled from her mouth, because her injuries were too severe. The entire hospital was mobilized. After 3 hours of emergency surgery, the doctor finally came out, his face grim. Doctor, how is she? The situation isn't optimistic, he said heavily. The hospital's blood supply is critically low. You should prepare for the worst. Chapter 22. My heart sank. I truly hadn't expected things to end up like this. Even though Willow had treated me so badly in the past, she was still a living person. When memories of those years resurfaced bit by bit, my eyes couldn't help but grow moist. I wasn't mourning Willow. I was mourning the beautiful past. We could have lived a good life together. So why did it have to come to this? Life is really complicated. Louise sighed. How am I even supposed to judge her? This world has never really been black and white. It's mostly just gray. No one is absolutely right or absolutely wrong. So George, just do what you can. Don't blame yourself too much. I nodded. Silently, I thought to myself, if I had agreed back then and stayed with Willow for that one final day, would we have been able to part on good terms? Just as I was lost in thought, several doctors suddenly rushed in, wheeling large bags of blood from outside. This was transferred from the neighboring hospital. Hurry, start the transfusion. There's still hope, move. Everyone. Hearing that, hope reignited in everyone present. Another 2 hours passed. At last, the doctors pulled Willow back from the brink of death. Only then did I finally let go, collapsing weakly into a chair. After that, I went to the police station to give my statement. Facing Makoto's begging, I slapped him several times on the spot. His life was effectively over. He'd be spending the rest of it behind bars. After Makoto was taken into custody, I returned to the hospital to take care of Willow. For several days in a row, I didn't sleep at all. When Anna found out, she came over on her own to help. She understood me. She knew this wasn't about lingering feelings, but about not wanting to owe anything anymore. Only then could Willow truly let go. After surviving life and death, Willow seemed different from before. She no longer clung to me every day, nor did she talk much. She would only watch quietly when I helped her change her 4-bottle. She said she felt as though she had finally found the meaning of life. She said she had thought everything through and had decided to let go. Time passed quickly. 4 months later, Willow had fully recovered and was discharged. The first thing she did was submit her resignation letter. MS. Lou, we've applied to the company already. Given your situation, you can stay. Anna tried to persuade her. Willow smiled. It's fine. This is my personal decision. Just have Vice President Wang sign it. In the office. I hesitated for a moment, then signed my name. Anna patted my shoulder. Go. Everyone deserves a proper goodbye. Months earlier, I had already told Anna that I might accompany Willow for one day, to truly end everything. After getting into the car, I asked her myself, where to? The amusement park, she replied. I froze briefly, then started the car. The amusement park in Orange City was old, but it was still crowded every single day. Thank you for taking care of me for so long. Willow said softly. I already owed you so much, now I owe you even more. I shook my head. The moment you saved me, we were even. Live your life well from now on. I continued. Don't keep walking forward with guilt. There's no meaning in that. You're right. I just didn't expect you to agree to spend the day with me. Willow said as she looked at the bustling crowd. So many warm moments from the past, now they feel like luxuries. Every story has to end. I reached for a cigarette, then put it back. We wandered around all day, just like before. We ate at snack stalls, bought hair clips from little shops. Everything she liked, I bought one of each. She dressed up in front of the mirror while I sat quietly on a bench watching her. When the sun was about to set, Willow suddenly spoke. Didn't you always want to ride the Ferris wheel? This time, I'll treat you. Sure. We stepped onto the old Ferris wheel, the place we had imagined for so many years. We finally made it here. It was just a pity that feelings weren't like a Ferris wheel. There was no second chance to come full circle. After everything we had been through, we stayed silent for a long time, saying nothing. In the end, Willow was the one who broke the silence. You're really exactly the same as you were 20 years ago. Chapter 23. Back then, I had just moved to your neighborhood. You were alone on the sand, building rockets, completely ignoring me. My mom said you were just like that, told me to play with you less, said you might affect my IQ. Really? I chuckled softly, sitting up straighter in slight embarrassment. But later on, you still talked to me. Why? Because it started raining, and I just happened to have an umbrella. After saying that, we looked at each other, and suddenly laughed at the same time. As the laughter faded, Willow slowly turned her head away. Scenes from the past flooded back, completely beyond her control, and tears slipped down her cheeks despite her best efforts. I remained sitting upright, feeling faint ripples stir in my heart. How could I forget the graceful young girl back then, always trailing behind me wherever I went? It was just that all of it had become the past, never to return. The ending was already set. Everything else was futile. To break the atmosphere, I took the initiative to talk. We went back and forth, from elementary school to high school, then to college. We even began analyzing each other's mistakes, and why our relationship had gone wrong. It felt as if we had finally, completely let go. The Ferris wheel was high, and the wind was strong. Willow's long hair was blown up into the air. Sunlight falling across her face, it made her look beautiful. George, the truth is, I still love you. I nodded. I know, but I've also thought it through. This past year, you taught me many things. I've grown up now. I'm no longer that little girl who followed behind you everywhere. I have to pay the price for the mistakes I made," Willow confessed earnestly as the Ferris wheel turned faster and faster. "Because this was her last chance to speak to me like this. The Ferris wheel is about to stop. The dream should end too. I'll go to a completely unfamiliar city. I'll never come back to disturb your life. From now on, I wish you lasting happiness." When the machine stopped, we slowly walked toward the exit and parted ways at the intersection. I had many things I wanted to say, but in the end, none of them left my lips. I just watched Willow board the bus and wave at me. "George, I'm leaving. Take care." In the blink of an eye, the bus had already disappeared into the distance. The mist cleared, and nothing appeared. Willow didn't stay. She finally left. Questions, regret, tension, all dissolved into relief in the next moment, drifting away with the wind. I let out a long breath. It was time for me to live my new life too. Time passed quickly. Another late autumn arrived. During that time, Willow vanished as if she had evaporated from the world. There was no news of her at all. As for me, I adjusted completely. Not only did I achieve major success at work, my relationship with Anna also flourished passionately. In the blink of an eye, my birthday arrived again. All the beautiful and painful memories alike turned into bubbles at the moment I turned 26. On that same day, I chose to hold my wedding with Anna as well. Double happiness. "George, happy birthday, and congratulations on your wedding." The wedding venue was lively and filled with joy. I kissed Anna, and she returned it with equal fervor. At this moment, we had finally gotten what we wished for. I have to say, CEO Wang really thinks of his brothers. Luis joked. Birthday and wedding on the same day, we only need to give one gift. Everyone immediately joined in the teasing. I laughed. Since you put it that way, you're giving 2 gifts. Otherwise, don't even think about drinking tonight. Just as Luis was about to make a run for it, a delivery arrived with a package. "So this is your second gift?" "No idea. Who sent this?" Everyone was confused. When the package was opened, it turned out to be a cake, signed anonymously. The moment I saw the message on it, I understood everything and smiled softly. "Happy 25th birthday, George."